OKC talk, man. So OKC have absolutely spent the bag this summer, man. So OKC, they signed SGA to a contract extension. Then they signed Chet Holmgren to a contract extension. Then they signed Jalen Williams to a contract extension. And all the contracts together total $822 million, bro. Let me say that one more time. All the contracts together, all the extensions that they just signed just this offseason after they won the NBA championship, they total $822 million. So I'm going to get into this article here. So $822 million extension have OKC Thunder careening towards NBA's 3 max problem. So we're going to get into that too. And we're also going to talk about some of the luxury tax and the second apron in the NBA and why this may be a little bit of a problem for the OKC Thunder moving forward. But I think they made the right idea too, just signing all your players to a max extension right now, deal with the problem later. As you all know, that the NBA, they're going to have a new collective bargaining agreement in, I believe, 2030. And there's a couple of things to think about that with the collective bargaining agreement. So number one is that once they have that new collective bargaining agreement, the total amount the NBA players are going to get under that new collective bargaining agreement is going to go way up, way up. That money is going to go way, way, way up. So right now, SGA had the highest annual salary once he signed this extension, but then Devin Booker just signed a 2-year, $145 million contract. So he's making like $72 million a year, something crazy like that. But when that new collective bargaining agreement comes out in 2030, bro, max players are going to be making like $85 million a year, maybe even $90 million a year. It's going to get close to that. So that's one thing. Another thing is that the Nielsen scans, so essentially, when you look at viewership ratings, there's something called like the Nielsen scans, and that's essentially what they use to be able to see how much people are watching a show. So when you see like the NBA say, okay, Game 7 of the NBA Finals had an average viewership of like 20 million people or whatever like that, or had 20 million views, or the Super Bowl had 160 million people watching or something like that. These are all from the Nielsen scans. But what they're doing now is that they're changing the way that the Nielsen scan is being counted. So right now, they're not counting in a lot of the digital scans, like watching it on TV, watching it on iPad, watching on different devices, but they will be doing that, I think, starting next year. So what that means is that for the NBA, all the viewership numbers are about to go up, 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 which means that when they come back to the negotiating table again in 2030, all the numbers are going to go up, 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 up. Because with higher viewership numbers, all of the advertisers are going to have to pay more money to be able to get their names in front of everybody watching the NBA games. So what that eventually means is that it means more money for the owners, and it also means more money for the NBA players as well too. So the NBA contracts, they're big now, but they're about to get even bigger under the next collective bargaining agreement. And the Oklahoma City Thunder know this. So that's why they're signing everybody to a max contract now, knowing that in 2030, that amount that they're able to pay their players is going to go way up. So let's go off here. So fresh from winning their first championship in franchise history, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been shelling out the big bucks this offseason. First, they agreed to a 4-year Supermax extension with reigning MVP SGA worth a projected $285 million. On Wednesday, they came to terms with Chet Holmgren on a 5-year max extension that could be worth as much as $250 million. And on Thursday, they agreed to a 5-year max extension with Jalen Williams that could rise to $287 million. Bro, what are these numbers, man? So $285 million for SGA, that's a 4-year contract. 5-year contract for Chet Holmgren worth $250 million. So that's $50 million a year. And then Jalen Williams has agreed to a 5-year contract that could rise to as much as $287 million if he wins MVP or Defensive Player of the Year or gets named to an All-NBA team this upcoming season. So a lot of these contracts are also based on certain stipulations. So like you see, that's one of them. So there may be a max contract that be like, okay, you got to win NBA MVP, or you got to win Defensive Player of the Year, or you got to make an All-NBA either third team, second team, or third team. They'll have something like that in the contract. And if you hit that, then you'll be able to get the full $250 million or $287 million, whatever the contract amount is. But if you don't, you might get a little less. So say, for example, he doesn't get any NBA MVPs, Defensive Players of the Year, or All-NBA. Maybe that $287 million looks more like $250 million or $240 million. So they'll essentially put incentives in the contracts for the players to try to meet those contracts so they can get them extra money. You know what I mean? So Williams and Holmgren's new contracts won't take effect until the 2026-2027 season, while the SGA's contract doesn't begin until 2027-2028. So these contracts that they signed just this year or in the offseason, they won't start until after next year. The Thunder are currently projected to be $1 million below the $187 million luxury tax this upcoming season. So they'll have more financial flexibility than most title contenders in the near term. However, they'll start feeling the wrath of the NBA's collective bargaining agreement soon. So once Holmgren and Williams' new deal kicks in, the Thunder are projected to have a payroll of roughly $246 million, according to ESPN. That will put them above the projected $209 million first apron and $220 million second apron, which would lead to hosts of team building restrictions that'll only get worse when SGA Supermax extension begins in 2027. So essentially, what they're doing right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are signing all these guys to these max extensions, and they're pushing this problem off into the future. And essentially, they know if they push this problem off into the future far enough, yes, they'll have to pay maybe the luxury tax on the first apron. Yes, they'll have to pay the second apron, which will essentially restrict them from being able to do a lot of stuff. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. But right now, they're in win now mode, man. They want to go win another championship. They want to go win another 2-3 championships. So for them, it makes the most sense to give a max contract to your main guys, try to keep kind of the core around the team, try to win as much as possible, and then you deal with the problem on the back end. You know what I mean? The thing with Sam Presti and the Oklahoma City Thunder, they still have mad draft picks, bro. They have like so many draft picks. So OKC Thunder draft picks. Well, I think Sam Presti's preparing, and Sam Presti, if you didn't know, is the Oklahoma City Thunder general manager. And let's take a look at the picks they have. Because even in this year's NBA draft, they had a whole bunch of picks as well. That's not what I'm looking for. Future draft picks. So in 2026, they have a first round pick that's projected from 1 to 4. In 2026, they have another first round pick, anywhere from 1 to 8. And these are protected picks. In 2026, they also have a second round pick. 2027, they have 3 first round picks. And in 2027, they have 2 first round picks. So even in the next couple of years, they still have mad draft picks so they can trade, do whatever with to be able to get those extra players that they need on their team to be able to keep their depth. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, man, Sam Presti, Oklahoma City Thunder's general manager, is the best general manager in the NBA. It's not even close. But what he's been able to do here and to still have that many draft picks, bro, there could be a future where they have to get rid of Chet or they have to get rid of Jalen Williams, and they'll still be able to potentially draft someone else who's just as good as them, if not better, to be able to replace them with all the draft picks that they have. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. So the NBA's second apron is going to break up the OKC Thunder, and this is actually going to help the OKC. Now, they talk about how they have a bunch of different contracts here and how they secure all these guys for at least the 2030-2031 season. So yeah, OKC, they got plenty of time to try to go ahead, try to win another championship, try to create a dynasty before time essentially runs out, man. That's essentially what they got to do, man. Get into the salary cap, we'll get into the luxury tax, and I'll get into the apron as well, too.